On the apron.
Yes, on the apron of the track. So that's going to be, it's going to be like a...
Are there any tires inside the shrubs, maybe?
Well,
we know groundhogs reside in the infield. We may not have any by the time we're done.
It gives them a good idea, though, doesn't it?
Ooh, here we go.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, the Midwest Vintage Race Car Club has made their way to the racetrack, and that Formula V that I was just talking about, that red and white 123 is that Formula V that we were just talking about here. But we'll try to go ahead, and they are just coming out here just to kind of run some parade laps here. There isn't actually going to be a full structured racing event. You have drivers of all ages. There's a gentleman out there that is over 90 years old driving the vintage cars here. Let's see, I'll go ahead and try to give you a rundown of what I was told. The 69 car of Danny Nelson, the super modified, that's the white and red. Super modified, he's hauling down the back straightaway there. The 73 right here on the front straightaway, Carl Root. Carl Root is in a champ car, a 1966 champ car there. And the 15 is R.W. Knoll. R.W. Knoll in a 1980 champ car. And what do we have coming right down here on the front straightaway? The 13 is Jay Biddle. Jay Biddle, that is a Super 6, a 1960 Super 6. I'm not very familiar with what a Super 6 is. And there's the other Formula V, that blue. I believe that's Charles Aussenball. Charles Aussenball. They're, of course, VW powered there. So 4 is a sprint car, a 1986 sprint car. That's Scott Hermanson. The 51 car out there is Dickie Phillips. Dickie Phillips in the 51 car. That's a 1974 sprint car. So they were talking when they had their drivers meeting. They were kind of mentioning, there's the 75. The 75 is Seth Wilkerson. That's a good-looking car. That's a 1980 sprint car. We're mentioning they don't pass each other on the racetrack on the left-hand side. They only pass each other on the right-hand side. You only see passes going on the right-hand side there. So again, the Midwest Vintage Race Car Club. And you can find out information on Facebook, on the World Wide Web. And they do about 10 to 12 shows a year, they say, per season. Yeah, got one slowing in turn 2. Looks like the 13 of Jay Biddle. And they were kind of concerned if the cars may overheat a little bit, so not sure that's the issue on the 13 of Jay Biddle, but our push truck is behind him. And so again, not actually racing here, just doing kind of some parade laps here, kind of as the only quote-unquote support class here tonight for the Lawrenceburg Speedway Fall Nationals. Opening ceremony's coming up in just a few moments, as it looks like they are pushing the 13 of Jay Biddle off the racetrack. We will see these cars one more time this evening. And it looks like they have pushed that car off the racetrack. And some of them will kind of pick up some speed there. So you got lots of different types of vintage race cars that you see out here. You got some sprint cars. A couple champ cars that are out there. The champ car is that 15 car and also the 73 car that's out there. The champ car looks a little bit longer than the sprint car there. That 4 is a sprint car. The 75 also a sprint car. Remember those Formula V cars. Those are pretty cool. I'd like to seen those in action. Mostly doing road racing, I was told. So there's 2 of those Formula V cars, that red one in the 123 and then the blue with the white number 6 and the yellow wheels. The guy's moving pretty good in the 75 car. So again, that 75 car, that is Seth Wilkerson. That's a 1980 sprint car. It's a Stanton chassis. Chevrolet 360 power plant. And white flag comes out for the 75 of Seth Wilkerson. They'll go around one more time and throw the checkered flag, and this will be the completion of session number 1 for the Midwest Vintage Race Car Club cars. You can see driver waving at the fans as he comes across the start-finish line there. That's something you don't see every day, especially for some of our younger fans. You may not have recognized some of the cars, but these are obviously vintage race cars that guys like Tom Wilson up here says that he remembers back in 1965. Super modified, that number 69, super modified that he saw. So how about a big round of applause for our Midwest Vintage Race Car Club participants out here tonight. Mentioned they'll come back one more time for a short stint following our sprint car heat races. And
vintage cars making their way back out to the racetrack, and we're finding out all kinds of new things up here.
Yeah, Brian, really cool. Drake York, USAC's very own Drake York, just mentioned that his dad built the 75 car, the one that has Ron Schumann on the side there. He said he brought it out here in 2020 with a 360. And he points out that there it is right here on the front straightaway. That's pretty cool. That was probably the fastest one that we saw out here in the first group of vintage cars that they were out here. So
he built it. He ought to be able to hot lap it.
I would think so, yes.
Jason,
we should
get your suit.
Yeah, Jason's here tonight, so pretty cool. But that, of course, is the 75 car, Seth Wilkerson, behind the wheel of it here tonight. A special shout out. Thanks, Drake, for the information there. So second time and final time, vintage cars will be out on the racetrack here tonight. And I want to give a quick shout out as they're coming around here. Cars that are out on track, and say hello to Cooper, Reed, and Ben in the stands here tonight, enjoying another Fall Nationals here at the Lawrenceburg Speedway. Some good dudes hanging out here at the dirt track. There's the 4 car headed around the Speedway. Scott Hermanson. Actually, that is Curtis Johnson, excuse me. And there's that Formula V car again, Jay Wolf, the 123 car. The 73 car is Carl Root. He's in a 1968 Champ car. That's super modified. Super modified, the 69 machine of Danny Nelson. Danny Nelson in the 69. Doesn't look like we have the 13 car that we had out here the first time. But we do have the 22 car. It looks like the 22 car is pulling off the track. It was not able to make it out here the first time around. That was the 22 of, oh, well, that makes sense. Dickie Phillips has two different cars. So the 22 is a modified. So those of you that know what UMP modifieds look like now, that's what they looked like back in the day, I assume. That is a 19... Again, just a few pace laps here, parade laps for the vintage cars, and we appreciate the Midwest Vintage Race Car Club for coming on out to the Lawrenceburg Speedway here tonight, as officially for the Lawrenceburg Speedway Fall Nationals, no real support class as far as a competing sport support class, so these vintage cars are just out here buzzing the track for a few laps here. You know what, some of them are moving pretty quick around here. We've seen the 75 kind of get on the gas a few times, and the 69 Super Modified look pretty fast as well. So again, that 75 sprint car, Stanton chassis with the Chevrolet 360 that we mentioned Drake's dad Jason brought back in 2020 out here with the 360 in it. Seth Wilkerson behind the wheel here tonight. 73 is a Champ car. That Champ car just went down the front straightaway into turns 1 and 2. That's Carl Root. Carl Root. And a Formula V right there. Charles Aussenbaugh. Charles Aussenbaugh, and then there is Jay Wolf in the other Formula V machine. It's also kind of interesting to look at how the safety equipment has improved as far as the cars, the roll cages. A lot more refined and sophisticated now. Part of the reason why these cars are just kind of out here just pacing around. I'm really impressed with those Formula Vs and only having 35 horsepower. And obviously they're not going to keep up with a sprint car, a Champ car, but they're kind of tooling around the bottom of the racetrack at decent speeds. Technically powered by a 1200cc. I assume it's a Volkswagen 1200cc engine. And just a couple more laps here. Some of them kind of picking it up a little bit. You could see the 75 of Wilkerson kind of get off of it if he got off of turn number 2, but and here comes the white flag for the vintage cars. A little scrap going on down the back straightaway. And here comes the double checkered flag for the vintage cars. And the Midwest Vintage Race Car Club has come to the Berg in 2025 and has been out a couple different times, and their exhibition display has come to an end. So very cool, and special thanks again to all the fine folks from the Midwest Vintage Race Car Club, Carl Root, And Jay Wolf was talking to those gentlemen down there. Pretty cool. Doing about 10 or 12 events a year. Jay told me he was in Hershey, PA yesterday. So he drove all night and all day to get here today and haul the car here. And he was in one of those Formula V machines. So those cars will head off the racetrack. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could give those drivers one more big round of applause for coming on out here tonight. The Midwest Vintage Race Car Club here at the Lawrenceburg Speedway on the Fall Nationals night here at the Berg.